Just gonna say, I'm gonna start this video with, that is rain, which the weather people said was not going to happen, and I should be out there mowing that right now, which is what my plan was today. But instead there's that stuff falling down from the sky that they said wasn't going to happen today. I wish I had a job where I could be wrong like most of the time and I didn't get fired, but I don't have that job. I screwed up. I should have become a meteorologist. So when that happens and I can't go mow, and I have some time because I came home from work early to mow so that I could get that off my bucket list for this weekend, I am instead draining antifreeze out of the 302 propane right now because I need to swap out the water pump. Water pump has leaked since I put it in. It's leaking from the seal up around the shaft there, and I'm tired of it leaking, and it's just not a good look when your tractor leaks antifreeze all over. So in order to take that off, I've already taken off the 302 shield there. I've taken off the hood on this side. I'm going to try to leave the plate that it goes against in there and just swap it while it's in the tractor. But I need to get the alternator out of the way. I need to get the air filter out of the way, which is those 4 bolts. And then I have that support there that I need to take that off. 4 bolts in the fan. And then I can take the bolts that hold the water pump on off in order to get the water pump off, clean up the plate, put a new gasket on, put some RTV on, and put it back together. And hopefully I don't have a leak anymore. So I'm gonna get busy taking off bolts. And this is pretty easy. I can do most of this with a 1/2 inch and a 9/16, and so that should make it go a lot faster because I don't have to keep running over and grab tools while I'm doing that. Meanwhile, I can just stand in here and watch it rain outside. So yeah, first thing I'll do, alternator bolt there, alternator bolt on the bottom, unscrew everything on the back, get the belt out of the way, and then probably do the fan blade. Then I'll do the air filter and get in there to get this done. All right, took out the bolt here, loosened up the bolt underneath. I'm able just to kind of flip the alternator down, took the belt off, took the 4 bolts out of here, and took the air pipe off that side. So now I can just lift. Sorry, I'm doing this, but I can lift the air cleaner off, set it aside, out of the way. And now, next thing I gotta do is take the 4 bolts off the fan and get it out of the way. And then I should be pretty opened up to seeing what I got. Antifreeze is still going out there. So I get those 4 bolts off there, and then fan out of the way, and then I should be able to keep rolling. All right, in a matter of a couple minutes, pop the fan off. Takes 4 long bolts going through into here. And the next thing I'm going to do is there's bolts going around the water pump. I'll pull those out, which means that there's going to be water that's still in the block in different places. So I got a pan down there to hopefully catch most of that, but I know it's still going to make a mess because there's just no way around it. But taking this back plate off is a real pain because there's a spacer down at the bottom, and I've done it before, and plus you got to deal with the water tube on the other side. So that's why I'm going to try to do this without disturbing all that, because then it just makes this a bigger job. All right, slight change of plan. I forgot that there's 1 bolt way over there that is almost impossible to get to. And there might be another one over there, but anyway, I'm gonna have to take out these 3 bolts down here with that go to the spacer and just pull that whole plate out, which will disturb the water tube, which will cause a lot more antifreeze to go on everything, which I guess it was gonna happen anyway. So much for a shortcut. I'm going to Just have to take off the hose on the other side and take that whole plate out. It might be easier to put the new pump on anyway. So that's what's next is to pull out those 3 bolts. All right, I got it out and I realized that I couldn't have left it in there anyway because this is a propane, and one of the things about a propane is you have antifreeze going through the regulator. Have this line here that goes up and goes into there. That screws on to this right here. And so I couldn't have done it that way because that goes into the back of the water pump. So basically what I've done is I brought the pump down here. I've got it kind of loose, so I'm gonna have to, I've loosened up. Gonna pull this off. This is a lot easier when I had most of this tractor apart because you can get at things better. And there's my gasket. There's my inside of the pump. That's maybe not good that there's, could be why it's leaking, I'm not sure. There's seal showing there. And so now I got to clean gasket off, which is a shame, but got to do that. And I got to take these pieces off the pump, get them on the new pump, and then I can start trying to put things back together. I think the O-ring's going to be okay in there. The water tube came out. You can see the RTV on there that I put on before. I'll clean all that off, put new RTV on. So when I put it back on, hopefully that doesn't leak, and then we'll go from there. All right, I got this separated off. It presses down on to the shaft there. This sits underneath it, and then all gets set. I had to use the bearing puller kit to pull that off. Pressing it back on, I'll need to put a socket or something in there that's smaller than that diameter on that end of the shaft so that I don't mess with the impeller and mess with the clearance on it, and then press this back on the shaft, which I will do here in a minute. That was a little bit of a pain. The regular gear puller wouldn't get it off, so the bearing puller worked out well, and that's where I'm at. I'm kind of up against it today because I got people coming over here in a little bit. I'm going to try to get a little bit more done before they show up. Well, I thought I was going to come out today and finish up this water pump project real quick, and I don't know why, but I just got thinking about things, and so I got thinking about where that line screws in there from the regulator to the back side of the pump there. And so I'm looking at the new pump, which is a new repop, and guess what it doesn't have? It doesn't have a threaded hole for that. So this pump is only for a gas one and not a propane one. So now I got a tractor sitting here that's tore apart. I don't have a pump. It's a little frustrating. Thought this was going to be a quick tear it down because it came apart very fast yesterday, and then a very quick put it back together. So now got to get on the phone, see what I can do about getting the right pump here. All right, after a long pause here, got a water pump today. Went over and saw Wendell Everett. Gave me a water pump. It's the correct water pump. Take the gasket off here so I don't mess that up. But it's got a plug here in the back, which is what I need. So I'm going to clean some things up and work on getting this water pump back in so that I can get this tractor running so I can move it, because I've moved the 950 in to do some tire work on it, and they're a little close together. So it'd be nice to be able to move this thing around. All right, so I got the new water pump here, and I did have to struggle quite a bit. Neighbor Carl had to come over and help get that plug out that was in that hole that I need specifically for the propane. We had to put heat on it, it was, I had to drill it out. It was a nightmare. So anyway, got the gasket back on here, got black RTV on it, just to help it seal. And next thing I'm gonna do is put the water pump on, bolt it down, and then put my water tube in the back that goes for the propane and start putting this thing back together. So, you know, what started out to be like a 1 hour project, we're like a month later, you know, at least it's getting done today. All right, I'm ready to put this back in here. Got my belt that I want to make sure gets in the right spot. I need to make sure I get the hose in, and then I got the water tube that goes back. But the big problem always is getting this spacer in and getting it stay. So I'll get the bottom bolt and the spacer to hold it there, and then I'll put my water tube in to get it lined up and kind of shove it in from there. So it's kind of a tedious process. I'm going to not film it because there might be a expletive dropped in the middle of it at some point, but get this in and then it should go all pretty smooth after that. All right, I got it back in there. The pain in the butt is getting this water line that goes straight down in there, and it bolts up to that shaft that goes in the back of the pump, comes up here and goes into the regulator. Had to take it loose here, kind of take it all loose to get it lined up because that line does not like to flex at all. Then I got my little spacer in down there, which is never fun to put in where those 3 bolts are. And got everything lined up and got it put in. Not super crazy about my lineup on the alternator pulley, but it'll work. So got everything bolted in, got everything tightened up, except I need to do the water line or the bottom radiator hose on the other side, and put the air breather pipe in on the other side, then put the air cleaner in, and yeah, then put water in and make sure nothing leaks, which fingers crossed. So we'll tighten some things up and then go from there. Yeah, so my alignment here is off, and then I'm going to put the air cleaner on and it's not fitting because it's hitting the valve cover, and then I realized I went over and looked at the other 7302 gasoline, and this plate right here that I have hooked up on the back side is supposed to be on the front side, which I was questioning myself about when I did this, and I should have questioned myself about more. So now I'm going to quick swap that around. It's just taking out 3 bolts, flipping it over and tightening everything back down. Yep, got to tell on myself when I make a mistake, so I made a mistake. All right, switch it around. Now it is correctly installed on the front side of the pump rather than the back side. And then that allows just the slightest bit of clearance between the air cleaner box and the valve cover, and everything's tightened up. My offset with the belt's a lot better, and now I just need to dump antifreeze back in and check for leaks, and then start putting body work back on, and then I can move this so I can go work on the 955 propane, getting this tire off this side. So that's another video that I'm working on, but I'm gonna get this buttoned up and get done, and hopefully somebody finds this water pump change video helpful. So here goes the antifreeze. All right, antifreeze is in, and I started her up. She's running so far. Nothing dripping on the floor, which is a good sign. The pump itself appears to not be dripping at all. The hose, radiator hose is not dripping. And then come over here to the coolant line, not dripping, not dripping. Thank goodness. I have worked my butt off this weekend, and it seems like everything is giving me issues. So looks good. I'll button this thing the rest of the way back up, and yeah, call that a win. Tractor runs so nice. So then I can go back and start working on the G950, and that's another video. It's coming up soon. I appreciate everybody watching. All the feedback I get, I appreciate it. You know, make comments if you see me do something that I could do better. And please like and subscribe. And just having fun working on these old Molines. Well, most of the time it's fun. Yesterday working on this was a little trying, but it's still fun. All right, until the next video.